Hey friends, Ben from NLFX, and a lot of you have been asking what is the difference between the Sennheiser EWD and the EWDX. Now, a lot of you remember when I did the video on the EWD, I was so excited about the EWD, I was breathing into a paper bag, and I didn't know they were going to get that on film, but they did. So anyway, if EWD was exciting, EWDX is whatever's more exciting than that. Now, there are some differences between the two, and I'm going to break those down for you, but first I'm going to talk about a couple things that are common. Both of them have a blazingly fast, incredibly short latency of 1.9 milliseconds. Both of them have an incredibly big dynamic range of 134 dB, so you no longer need the sensitivity setting. And from there, we're going to branch off into some of the differences between the two. Tuning being the biggest thing. While both of them have the incredibly linear tuning that we talked about, the EWD, there's more range available on the EWDX. It's 88 megahertz of tunable range as opposed to 56 megahertz of tunable range on the EWD. And while the EWD uses a fairly consistent 600 kilohertz spacing, which allows for up to 90 systems in a band, the EWDX has what's called a link density mode, which allows you to tighten that down to 300 kilohertz, and that gives you a stunning 290 channels available in an 88 megahertz span. So, how do we find these clean frequencies? Well, both of them have a very easy to use scan feature, but we're going to show the scan feature on the EWDX right now. And what we can see here, we've got the EWD up here, EWDX down here. Each of these is a dual receiver. So each of these receivers can handle 2 transmitters at a time. So I can have 4 transmitters in a rack space as opposed to 2 transmitters in a rack space with EWD. Taking a quick look at the frequencies, very easy just to come in and do a quick auto scan. Okay, now we can see that it says press sync on the mobile device, and most of us are used to syncing our transmitters and receivers together, and usually we're doing that with infrared, and there's a little window that has to look at the receiver, and we hold it about 8 to 12 inches apart, stand on one leg or whatever, make it work. This uses Bluetooth Low Energy to do that, and we don't have to have it anywhere near the transmitter and receiver together. So approximately 50 feet away it'll work. I simply press the sync button. And sync successful, instantaneous and easy. Now that we've synced it, we'll notice that this first one has a green indicator for the first transmitter, red for the second transmitter because we still haven't synced one for that, and we'll notice that's similar to how the EWD demonstrates that we have a red link indicator here, meaning no transmitter is synced with that mic. So moving on with a couple other key differences between the EWD and the EWDX. The EWD, while digital, just like the EWDX, does not have any encryption, whereas the EWDX has AES-256. The EWD does not have a Dante option, whereas on the EWDX there will be receivers coming out later this year that have Dante option. The EM2 and the EM4 will both be available with a Dante option or without. Controlling these is incredibly easy and very powerful. We looked at the app for the EWD, and the same Smart Assist app will work with the EWDX, but we also have the advantage of an Ethernet port on the EWDX, which allows us to use Sennheiser's Control Cockpit or their Wireless System Manager software. On the receivers, we'll notice that with the EWD, it has an LED display, and with the EWDX, we have a beautiful OLED display with a lot more data being shown. Both systems can use rechargeable batteries, the BA70. With the EWDX, there are charging contacts, which allows us to use a drop-in charger. With the EWD, we have to take the batteries out and put them into the charger. Also available with the EWDX will be some desktop gooseneck microphone transmitters, like for corporate AV use, and those will feature USB and inductive charging as well. Another difference between the two, on the EWD, we notice there is no display, which is fine because we do everything from the app, but they did add the display back in on the EWDX. And here's a really, really cool feature about this display. It uses a feature called e-ink, so even with the batteries out, it will hold the last information seen on the pack. This can be really useful because this can include the name of a transmitter. We no longer have to use tape or labels or anything like that. We just simply look in the case and see that this is lead vocal, or this is, pack number 2, or whatever your labeling nomenclature is, and it will do that even without batteries. While both the EWD and the EWDX feature a mute right on the pack or the handheld transmitter, and the S-Cam is available with or without a mute switch. Very easy just to flip that switch. Some key differences here is that the EWD only has AF mute, whereas the EWDX has AF mute and RF mute. And of course, a common feature available on both, which is so cool, is that if I'm a presenter and I've muted my pack and I'm now 100 feet away at the stage and we have to deal with that, we don't have to go up there and have an embarrassing moment where we unmute them. We can simply do that right here from the display on the receiver. And this pack is now unmuted. Powering these units is very easy. On the EWD, it uses the same standard power supplies we've come to know and love. With the EWDX, there is a 4-way power supply available to power multiple receivers, as well as PoE power supply, power over Ethernet, which is really awesome, and it becomes a redundant power supply option. Of note, on the EM4, which is the 1U 4-channel receiver, we don't have to use an external power supply. It uses a standard IEC-C13 connection, and it has the power supply built into the chassis. That's the quick overview between EWD and EWDX from Sennheiser. Both, of course, available for us, your friends here at NLFX Pro. Both are shipping. At the time of making this video, EWDX is fairly new, and demand is, well, I mean, you saw it, so you know why demand is huge. So there's a little bit of a lead time. But as always, feel free to contact us with questions and reach out to us for some great pricing on whatever option is the best option for you. And of course, please, pretty please, click that like button and that subscribe button and turn on notifications and comment and do anything else so that you don't miss out on the next videos, and keep those questions and comments coming. Thanks so much for watching.